Hello, welcome to episode 286 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 6th of February and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last couple of weeks. Last week I did a little tutorial on how to do a clear pocket bag, which I will show you later in the sewing section, but today we've got some knitting, some crochet, obviously a sewing section because I just mentioned it, a little gadget for the week, a confessions. Bit naughty, but you know. I've got a what's occurring section talking about meetups. I've got a section, ask me anything section, which will have a question that I've got actually from the comments this time, about how ease works on garment making. And also a little bit of information on my shop at the very end of the video. Now, Jensen is not going to be in today's video because he's a bit poorly. He's on antibiotics. He's got a bit of a chesty cough and things. He isn't too bad, but he is on antibiotics, so I don't really want to be disturbing him. So hopefully next time, in 2 weeks' time, when the next podcast is up, he'll be on the video again. And I do have some finished things that he needs to model for you actually, so I'll have to show them on next week's video, I'm afraid. So, talking about my knitting projects that I finished. I have finished the Musselburough hat I was knitting for Jensen. Now, I ended up just chickening out. I didn't want to lose yarn chicken with this because it goes inside each other to make it double the thickness. I stopped knitting because I thought I might run out of yarn. I did have about 21 grams left, I think, in the end. But what I could have done is just stop knitting the plain bit, actually knitted the start again from the middle out and kitchen stitched it all the way around to join them together to make sure that I used up every bit of yarn. But it was difficult to sort of gauge how much yarn I would take for the decreases. Alternatively, what I could have done is knitted the actual increase section, weighed it, and then worked out how much yarn I needed to have left to complete that section, and then I'd have been fine. But I didn't, did I? I didn't think that far ahead. And I just ended up sort of thinking, right, I'd better start doing the decreases. So it did end up being, so I can't actually turn it up on Jensen, although it is slightly long on him. It's not long enough to sort of turn up. But the size worked out really well. I did it a size between sizes in terms of the increases section. I actually did it the small adult, but I did another couple of increases. So I was between the medium adult and the small adult size, which is crazy for a toddler, but it does fit him. It does fit him. So that's good. Doesn't matter if he's just got quite a large head for a toddler, that's all, like his mummy. So it does fit really nicely, and he has actually worn it a couple of times, but obviously if he's not very well, he's not really going out this week. But there we go. It is knitted in a DK version of an Opal yarn that's made for sock knitting. So actually, if you knit it in the sock, you end up with thicker stripes, but because I did it in a hat, they're quite narrow stripes. They're not quite as pretty as the sort of smaller stripes, but Jensen still loves it. He just loves rainbows, so that's lovely. It's really nice and thick. I'm really surprised, actually. For some reason, I thought the Musselburough hat was just for fingering weight yarn, but it's actually written for a multiple yarn weights, so that it calculates how many sort of rows and lengths, and you just work out your stitch gauge and then go from there from the charts. So I think it's a really good pattern. I like the fact that it's doubled over. You have that extra thing of being able to wear it inside out. You could do it different colour on the inside. So there's so many different options. I like ones where they've done one colour on the inside, one colour on the outside, and then a different colour for the brim as well. So it's completely reversible with the different colour for the brim. So I think that's really good. I will be knitting more of these. You can see why it's such a popular pattern. So a very useful thing to have to knit hats for lots of people. It does take quite a while to do a lot of stocking stitch to do the sort of length of this hat, but it's nice to have an easy project to take around with you. I took this to a few knit nights, nice and easy to do, don't have to think about it, and it just comes out with a lovely product in the end that's very wearable. And Jensen really likes it, so that's really good. Next week I will get Jensen to wear this and model in it at the end of the video, but I'm sorry he's not very well this week. So that is the Musselburough hat, Ysolda Teague in Rainbow Opal DK yarn. I haven't got any of the Rainbow Opal in my shop at the moment that's exactly the same. But there are a few Opal DKs in the shop. I've still got quite a range of opals, and I'm hoping to restock some of those later on this month, so that's quite exciting. So the next project that I've been working on, I've actually managed to do 2 of. Sounds good, doesn't it? They're only tiny little mittens. So first of all, I used some of the yarn I had left over from my Forestland sweater to make Jensen some mittens. Now this is the world's simplest mitten pattern by Tin Can Knits. I had a few people advise me about this pattern being really good, and in Vlogmas I knitted a rainbow pair for Jensen, but he's took them to nursery and he actually leaves them there to wear there, so we needed some more pairs. So I thought, well, I'll knit some with my leftover DK yarn that I'd got from my Forestland sweater, which was colour work, and the colour work was in this colour and the main body of the sweater was in this colour. This is called Nightshade and Superstition, and these are both knitted in my Merino DK yarn. So I do sell these colours on my website, but these are just leftover yarns that I had from the sweater that I knitted. I made a mistake with this pair. What I did is I forgot to change to the larger needle size for the main body of the mitten, so I ended up with it a bit narrower, but they still fit him now. It just, obviously they won't last as long, but I think they'll do for a little while, so I've knitted those. And I'll have to get Jensen to model these next week because they're very cute, aren't they? And then I picked up some yarn that I actually picked out to start with to do Jensen some mittens, but I ended up doing the rainbow ones first, and it is a Malibrigo that I got in a yarn swap, which has come out really lovely. So it's a Malibrigo Rios. I don't remember the colourway, but if I can find it, I'll put a link to it in the description bar down below so that you can find it as well. It's an Aran weight yarn, and again, the good thing about this pattern is it's made for multiple yarn weights and sizes as well, so absolutely brilliant. These both are the Toddler size, and this one is the Aran weight, and those ones are the DK. So there was obviously difference in the stitch counts, but they come up a very similar fit if I'd have actually done the needle size correctly on that one. But this one I did remember to change up to the higher needle size, and these fit really nicely as well. They just give him a bit more sort of width on the fingers, whereas these ones I knitted the length that it said, but obviously because I didn't go up a needle size, the width isn't as wide, but it still fits on his hands, so that's ideal. So he now has 2 really cute pairs of mittens and a hat, but he does have mittens to match the hat. I just need to make him hats to go with these. That would be really good, wouldn't it? Because he can't have not matching knitwear as a toddler. So I will probably knit those mittens again for Jensen. Lots of people advise me to pick that pattern on. I can see why. It's very versatile, lots of different yarn weights, and it goes up to various sizes as well, so really, really good. Adult sizes as well, which is even better because you can have matching adult ones. So I will definitely be knitting some more of those. That is all I've been knitting on this week. I've got some crochet to show you though. So first of all, I've been addicted to working on my Daisy Puff blanket by Sandra of the Cherry Heart podcast, and it is coming up quite big now. I think obviously because it's getting bigger, I don't know if you'll be able to tell how much I've done since the last time I showed it to you, but it feels like it's getting quite weighty. I'm really enjoying working on this. It's such a pleasure and so nice to be using up scraps of leftover yarn. What I will do as well is show you my basket. You can see how it's gone down a little bit since the last time I've showed you, so I can really see there's a decrease in these scraps. I want to get rid of all these into the blanket, and then I'll stop doing the border, I think. I might do the border in sort of more plain. I might do an undyed yarn and some grey or something. I might dye up something especially for it, to be honest. But I just love the way these colours have worked together. I'm glad I had a bit of a sort out of my stash and put all the colours together that I thought would go really nicely. And as I go, I just think, right, I'm going to put a hexagon here, and I think, right, what have I got these flowers next to it? I'll choose a sort of different colour that I think sort of blends in well, and then I'll choose the colours according to ones that go well with the ones next to it, and sort of make sure that I've got a relatively even spread of sort of dark and lights and different colours. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. I think it looks okay. I'm really pleased how it's turning out. I really like how the stitches look, and I'm really enjoying how I've joined these. So when I get to the corner, I double crochet through the 2 holes. When I'm joining the side of the hexagon, I'm just going through the back loops so that you get this lovely neat edge, which I'm really enjoying doing. I'm trying to sew all the ends in as I go, but I think there's one hexagon that I've got the ends to sew in somewhere, just this side, but I'm sewing in the ends as I go. Don't mind how the back looks either, which is lovely. So it's really nice to be using those little scraps of yarn on something that I'm absolutely loving. Of course, I must have, the reason why I have lots of these colours is I just absolutely love them anyway. So that is my blanket. So it's the Daisy Puff blanket by Sandra Paul from the Cherry Heart podcast. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook, and I like the my favourite are the Clover and Moray hooks because they've got a really nice grip on them. I find that I get an achy wrist from doing crochet, so I can't just have the metal ones, and it makes a hell of a difference for me having that extra bit of a grip on. So if you do have difficulty with your crochet, with your wrist hurting a bit, I definitely recommend one with the grips on. My favourite when I did a test was the Moray one, but there's also other ones that they do. I think Knit Pro do one. So I'm using a 4mm crochet hook with a DK yarn, but I'm also using 4-ply held double to use up all of my scraps. I've got a lot of fingering weight scraps, so that's a great way to use them up. So I'm very excited. I've actually started another crochet project, and this is on my make 9 list. Well, I say make 9, but it was make 25 for 25 of my knitting and crochet things. I've made a start, and this is what I've managed to do. Let's see if I can get you in a bit closer. So this is some ribbing that is going to go on my Magnus cardigan. I did actually do about this much of it, and then I wasn't happy with how tidy it was, so I undid it and started it again because I haven't done loads of ribbing crochet before, and the start of my work wasn't super neat, so I just thought I'll undo it and start it again, and I'm really pleased I did that. I'm really loving the way that's coming up, so that's what I've got so far. I'm using a grey DK, so I've dyed this actually by accident, this colour. It is between 2 of my colourways. It's a little bit darker than Rain and a little bit lighter than Living on a Prayer, so it's in between the 2, and I thought actually it would go really nice with the advent that I had dyed up for myself for 2024. So this is my colours that I did for the Woodland Wonders advent. I've caked all the yarns up ready. Don't look at how scruffy my cakes are. My ball winder is not very tidy, so I just try and do my best. But it goes in a sort of a fade, starting from here like that. So fades from pinks to purples to blues, turquoises, and then greens, and then back to pink a bit, so that I can sort of cycle it if I wanted to. My plan is, I know that it's this DK compared to the actual pattern is in Aran, but what I'm going to do is wing it completely. So the Magnus cardigan is supposed to be an Aran weight cardigan, and I'm actually going to stick with the hook sizes that the pattern says for an Aran weight, but I'm going to do it in DK. It'll make it a little bit drapier and softer, but also it'll sort of eke out the stitches a bit, so it won't take as much work. So I'm going to do that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally start doing this ribbon, and I'll make the rib until it is wide enough to go around me, and then I will work from there. Because obviously the sizes aren't going to work exactly, the gauge isn't going to work exactly, so if I start just ribbing and see if it fits around my tummy, as long as it fits around my tummy, I'm sure it'll be fine everywhere else. So that bit is I'm just gonna wing it and see how it goes. I will record exactly what I do and tell you how I'm going along, but hopefully it won't take me too long, because I'm hoping to get this finished for the East Anglia Yarn Festival. It's always good to give yourself a challenge, isn't it? So what I think I'm going to do is, I've done some calculations, and according to the meterage you need for the Aran weight yarn, you need 460 grams roughly, according to the alternate meterage it says for the Aran weight, and I'll have about 480, 490 in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use up the first one and then move to the second one and use them up and just just when I finish them, start a new colour, so that I don't have any sort of wastage. And I think normally the balls are just over 20 grams anyway, so it's probably well over 480, so I should have plenty of yarn. And if not, I can just dye myself up some more to match it or to coordinate in with the colours that I've got. So you start at the bottom and crochet upwards. So my hope is that I'm not gonna worry about matching the arms with the bottom half of the body so that the colours match exactly. I'm just gonna sort of keep going with the rainbow up the body and then down the sleeves and see how it goes, because I think it'll be too much bother having to make sure that I've got enough yarn for the arm and at the exact position that I need it compared to the body. So I'm just gonna do rainbow up the body sort of thing, and then finish on the sleeves. Hopefully it'll work, we shall see. If I've got enough yarn, I will do pockets. If not, I don't have to. I can always use pockets in other pieces of clothing. It's absolutely fine. So I am going to risk it and do it in DK and see how it goes. I thought actually DK would make it a little bit less heavy, because if I did it in Aran weight yarn, it'd be quite heavy. And also, I've got this advent that I kept for myself. I need something to do with it, and I just thought, oh, I'd love to do those colours in the Magnus cardigan. So that is what I'm going to do. So that is my crochet section, and I have done a little bit of sewing this week. Well, last week I did a video tutorial on how to make this little pocket bag where you've got a clear pocket in the front. This is traditionally used for a lot of cross stitch pieces and sort of any sort of hand sewing. You can put all your bits and bobs for a project in there, but I thought actually this would also be great for dressmaking projects, anything where you've got all your bits and bobs you need to put together and sort of see what you've got in there. Having the clear plastic on the front is brilliant. So I showed you how I put the zip inside the clear plastic bag and made it so that you never actually sew directly onto the plastic, so you don't need to worry about having a special foot or putting like magic tape onto the bottom of your presser foot as well. So you don't need to do that. You're actually just stitching onto the fabric. I put a video up last week to show you how to do it, so I'll put a link to that if you haven't seen that already. And it's made with the new set of fabrics from the Botanist Walk collection. So I've selected 5 prints. I'll show you the prints on their own actually, so that you can see them. So I've selected 5 prints from that collection, or from the sort of other fabrics that they do with Liberty, to go together nicely. I'll show you them a bit better at the end of the video in the shop update section. So I've done it so that you can do it with a set of fat quarters. You don't need that much, but if you've got pieces that are sort of 11 by 14 inches to do the main body, and then some scraps of leftover fabric to do the binding, etc., you should have enough. But I have put a list of requirements in the description box of the video if you want to have a look at that as well. I just popped a little ribbon on the end to make it a little bit more usable, the zip, and it also looks pretty as well. So there we go. Hopefully you find that useful. So it is a free tutorial, but obviously if you want to buy the kits that I've got, they're on my website now. Also the fabric bundles can be purchased separately as well. So the next section is Gadget, and I've got a little Gadget that's been restocked in the shop, so I thought I'd explain to you what they're used for. So I've got these tins with these really pretty little cables in. So you have 3 different cable lengths here, and I've got 2 meters of a purple, and then I've got 2 different pinks which are 0.75 meters long. And what they are for is that you can hold your stitches on your sleeves and the body of a garment when you're knitting. So these are really good because the ends of the tubes, if you look at them, well, they're tubes, so you can actually pop a needle into the end of that tube, squash it together, and then you can transfer stitches onto this tube. And once you've got your stitches onto the tube, you can then thread it through the little toggles that come with the kit. You put them through the little holes while you're pressing the little button in, and then let go, and that stops your stitches coming off. And there's 3 of the little toggles with each of the kits, so that's really handy. And I thought that I'd make sure that each of the cables were different colours, so that when you're going to pick one up out of your kit, you know which one is the sort of longer one, and it's the darker one, the darker purple out of these 3. So I've now listed a load of these in my shop which I've put together this last couple of weeks. But I thought I'd show you how to do them. And what I will have to do is get on with a knitted garment so I can actually put it onto the work to show you properly. But hopefully you get the gist of being able to thread the stitches onto this little cable and then having the toggle on the end. This is plenty big enough to go around me, but if you did want one with the longer cables, I'm very happy to cut them for you, because I've got some that's not cut yet, so I can replace those with longer ones if you want to. But I think most people should be okay with this, but just let me know if you do want them longer. The 75 centimetres to go around the arms is sort of plenty of room there. You can actually try garments on when the stitches are held onto these as well, which is really, really handy. So that is my gadget for the week. So I now have some confessions. So if you haven't seen the January club for the Sweet Shop minis from Giddy Yarns, look away now and I shall tell you when you can look back at the screen again. So I have purchased, I've actually subscribed for the whole year, so I'm very excited to see these. But these are the most beautiful colours. These are the Sweet Shop minis from January, and these on the merino and nylon base, and I just got the 10 grams just to sort of treat myself, because I don't particularly need more yarn, but I can't resist. Because I've subscribed for the whole year, it'll be really nice to have a treat through the door every month from Helen, because she does the most gorgeous yarns. And I thought, well, these would go really nice in the blanket I'm actually crocheting for Jensen. If I've got it here, I can show it to you. So this is the Battenberg that I'm crocheting for Jensen, and I thought it'd be nice to have a few nice little pops of colour in there from the minis that Helen's dyed up. So I really love those, absolutely gorgeous. Aren't they lovely? Really pretty colours, and I can't wait for next month already. And that's all of my confessions for this week, so I haven't been too bad. So my next section is what's occurring now. We have the Barbara's Day Out organised for Wreatham Village Hall, and the postcode is IP24IRL if you haven't been there before. It's a little village towards sort of Thetford area, but the postcode and everything is on my list of dates for Barbara's Day Out on the website if you need to double check that. It's on Saturday, March the 22nd, so that's Wreatham Village Hall, IP24IRL, and I will put a link to the list of dates and venues on my website if you need to check that out. Everyone is welcome, you don't need to book, just turn up and it'll be lovely to see you. So that's the Barbara's Day Out, which is one that we run from different places. Quite a lot of the time we have them at Dunstan Hall, but we're trying out a few different places which are more convenient for different members of the group that already come regularly. So we're trying those out, and you can have a look on my website to see the up and coming 3 months in the future, so you can see if there's one near you. And also wanted to mention that Sam and Sam's from the Sam Rayner podcast, and she also is on Instagram, SR Designs Crochet, if you wanted to follow her there. But me and Sam have had a chat about doing a meetup, a local meetup. So we've decided to have it at the pub in Helston, which is called the Bull, on 7:30 PM on every Tuesday. So if anyone wants to come and join us. There's plenty of parking there, and we just sit and chat and quite often have cake, to be honest. They do puddings there, and you can have main meals if you want to. We started one last week and we really had a lovely time, so everyone is welcome, and you can come and have a chat and eat some cake with us if you like. You don't need to book, you can just turn up. So it would be lovely to see you at either of those meetups. So the next section is my Ask Me Anything section. Now I've had a question of somebody, I can't actually remember their name because I didn't note it down, but I remembered I needed to do it on the Ask Me Anything section. It was a comment on one of the recent videos about ease, and could I explain it a little bit further. So when it comes to sort of garment knitting and crochet, quite often the pattern will tell you that a pattern is supposed to have so many inches of positive ease or negative ease or 0 ease. Now ease is basically the difference between your size and what you're actually knitting. So if I use my bust measurement, for instance, you'd measure your bust, and you could either knit the garment so it was exactly that width, so it would fit you quite snug, or you could go with negative ease and you could knit it tighter so that it actually, the fabric would stretch around your body a bit more. Or if you wanted to make it with positive ease, you could then add a few inches, and that would mean that you'd have a little bit of extra room in there. So positive ease, you're adding inches, it's bigger than your body. Negative ease, you're taking away inches and it's squashing into the body. So depending on what the fabric is like, it might stretch really nicely over the body, but you have to just be careful that your material that you're making has enough stretch in it. But to be quite honest, with knitting, knitting normally has quite a lot of stretch in it anyway. So when I make things without any ease, when I go for 0 ease, I find that actually, because of the stretch of the fabric, it feels like there's a little bit of extra room in there anyway, because of that extra stretch that's built into the knit stitches. If I just try and explain it in a slightly different way, positive ease, positive plus you're adding inches, negative you're taking away inches from that body measurement, so then you end up with it either more snug fitting or looser fitting, depending on how you like it. It's completely up to you. I prefer things to be just nicely snug but not too tight, but some people like things to be really snug, or some people like things to be really loose. So it's absolutely up to you how you choose your garments to fit. It's just that the pattern designers have an idea of what they want the garment to look like. That's why they suggest a certain amount of ease. But it's sometimes nice to go have a look in your own garments, measure your own body measurements, and then a garment that you really like, and see what the difference in measurement is. And if you could then go to choose whether you want negative ease, no ease, or positive ease. It's completely up to you. So hopefully that helps some people that haven't really understood ease before. If you had any more questions, please let me know and I will try and answer them as best I can. So that is the Ask Me Anything question. I have just a little bit of information on my shop update. So like I said earlier, we've now got the new fabrics from the Botanical Walk collection, the Liberty print fabrics. These are all Lazenby quilters cotton, so they're lovely and thick. They've got like a matte texture as opposed to the very thin, fine, shiny texture of the lawn that's so famous for Liberty fabrics. This is thick and more like a quilter's cotton, but thicker than a standard quilter's cotton really. So this is the selection of fabrics I've selected from the new sort of Botanical Walk collection, and I've got fat quarters bundles listed on the website. You can actually subscribe to get a fat quarter or a fat eighth bundle every month if you want to, or just purchase them individually as I bring them out. But I'm finding it really exciting to be bringing out different sets every month and then thinking, whoa, what can I make with these? So that's quite nice. Obviously this month was the zipped pouch, which I've done a free tutorial for, but there are some more ideas that I've got in the coming months. I want to do something to organise my sort of makeup bag and like make an alternative version of a makeup bag, maybe with some little pockets in. I want to do lots of different things for my craft room organisation systems and things like that. So and I also want to make my Quilt As You Go pieces as well, to go with the one I made for January. So those are in the shop. I also have the February colours of the month available until the 9th, which is this Sunday. So if you want to purchase the February colours of the month, that's only open till Sunday. They are exclusive to this February, well, until Sunday, and then I'm just going to close the listing and they'll be dying all the orders and they'll be sent out at the end of the week. So they'll be sent out on Valentine's Day, which is the 14th of February. The colours are inspired by the song Unchained Melody, and they are all named after lyrics from the song. So the very dark purple is My Love, My Darling. We've got Unchained Melody is the sort of pinky purples, the slightly darker version, and then I Need Your Love is the lighter purples and pinks, which is similar to that but a lighter version. I have the mid pink with the dark purple speckles, which is Lonely Rivers Flow, and then the pale pink with the splashes of pinks and purples is Are You Still Mine. So that collection is only available to pre-order until Sunday, and then they will be dyed up next week and sent out by the end of the week. Like I mentioned before, the cord and toggle sets for holding your stitches will be on my website as soon as this video is uploaded as well. I did have some a little while ago, but now they're restocked in the shop, this new batch. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you next week. Bye!